And it's supposed to be running about.
That's it, right?
He wants them glasses.
Oh, Jeff. All right.
All right.
Pretty good. Was there butter? Work. He goes down to, he works down there, he goes down. Makes sense. They just, yeah. They see it last year.
Good evening, church family. Good to see each one out on this midweek Bible study after a beautiful day that we've been blessed with. Turn your handbooks to number 180. 180. Glad to see each one out tonight. And after we sing 180, Brother Jimmy will lead us in prayer before we go to our classes. Get my throat clear. So sing. Come, let us all unite to sing. God is love. Let heaven and earth their praises ring. God is love. Let every soul from sin away. Each in his heart sweet music play. And sing with us for Jesus' sake, for God is love. God is love. God is love. Come, let us all unite to sing that God is love. Oh, tell to earth sweet motives found. God is love. In Christ we have redemption found. God is love. His blood has washed our sins away. His Spirit turned our night to day. And now we can rejoice to say that God is love. God is love. God is love. Come, let us all unite to sing that God is love. How happy is our portion here. God is love. His promises our spirits cheer. God is love. He is our sun and shield by day, our help, our hope, our strength and stay. He will be with us all the way. Our God is love. God is love. God is love. Come, let us all unite to sing that God is love.
Let's all bow, though, darling. Our Father in heaven, thank you this beautiful Lord's Day you blessed us with. Thank you for sparing our lives for this very moment. Thank us give us means of transportation to land us here. And for this building that you have blessed us with to assemble here. And one more about thee, your son Jesus. And what, regardless of what level the students is and the teachers, let the teachers help them grow in faith and learn about the plan of salvation. So before it's too late, if they'll obey the gospel and live a faithful life. We thank you for this great nation that we live in. And there's something to be done that the leaders turn this country back to thee. So we're really proud once again to say, in God we trust, one nation under God. And ask you to be with American soldiers and citizens on foreign soils that you will lead and guide them, they can return home safely at your will. And we ask you to attend us beyond this service, and please forgive us when we do things that are against your will. In the blessed name of your Son, Jesus, amen.
Oh. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Y'all ready to do some question and answers? Or from your workbooks? Those kinds. All right, we're ready. I'll tell you what, we're going to divide it up. We don't want to stay divided now because we're supposed to be a unified congregation, but we'll go this side and this side. So we'll have you answer this side, answer the question, and then no one from this side help them. Don't help.
Well, we'll get done then.
And then, shots fired. And then this side will answer, and y'all don't help them. And I'm gonna keep track, and we'll give out candy at the end. All right. You want chocolate? I got those nasty jelly beans to give out. You like those?
I don't think it'll pull your feelings out.
All right. Okay, so we are in our book. So we're reviewing chapter 3 of James. And so if you don't have your workbook, you can open up a Bible to James chapter number 3. And it'll be pretty easy to follow along and find where we're at and what verse we're talking about. All right, so we're going to start over here on my right. Question number 1. What does the I can't even read the question. What does the revised version, they've asked this kind of question before, what does the revised version of 1901 have for the word masters in verse number 1?
Teacher.
Okay, teachers. And it's not only the revised version that has it, it's quite a lot of other versions has teachers instead of masters. Okay, check. Point goes to you, to Gryffindor. Okay. Number 2 on this side. Oh, you guys you get the thought question. Why will masters or teachers receive greater condemnation? See Matthew 7 and Luke 12 for suggestions. But if you were taking good notes from our class, you got this down pat. There's probably 2 or 3 or 4 different answers you can give. So what would y'all say? Why will teachers receive greater condemnation? James says.
They're taking on the responsibility for teaching them what?
Okay, they're taking on a greater responsibility.
Well, of teaching the pure word of God.
Okay, yeah. Teachers do have a level of a higher level of responsibility.
But now, if you're really on your game, the answer to number 1 is given in number 2.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Does anybody have any other answers for 1? So we got greater responsibility. I mean, that's probably enough, right?
They're held accountable if they teach falsely, no one will teach falsely.
Okay, they're going to be held accountable if they teach something false, teach something wrong, right? Anybody have anything else? That's pretty much it, isn't it? The greater responsibility that teachers give. Okay. And teachers have to be careful. Well, we all have to be careful, but don't teachers have to be careful about their motives, why they teach and when they teach, and because you can't do it in a prideful way for self-promotion or have wrong motives or anything like that. Okay. All right, back over here. To my right. Number 3, according to James, what would constitute a perfect man? Okay, makes no mistakes, bridles his tongue. right? That's verse number 2. He doesn't stumble in word. All right, excellent. And since we're no one's perfect, what does that mean? I mean, we all have probably at one time stumbled in our words.
And bit our tongue.
It's a good chance that has happened, right? More than a good chance. Okay, over here, number 4. Give the 2 illustrations. I kind of got 3, but give 2 illustrations used to show that little objects do great things. Did y'all get 2 or did you get 3? Okay.
Bit in the horse's mouth and ship's rudder.
Okay, the bit in the horse's mouth from verse 3, and then the ship's rudder from verse 4, and then what would be the third one? Well, the illustration that is given towards the tongue. Yeah, the fire, right? A little fire kindles a whole forest. That's what we could throw that as a third one, right? Little object, a little tiny fire can do great things, can burn a whole forest down, right? That makes sense, right? Okay. Okay, over here. I need like names for the groups, names on this side. I have to come up with names for y'all. Number 5, what questions are asked to provoke thought on the point that out of the same mouth there should not come both cursing and blessing? And what verse did those come from?
Verse 11 and 12, and it's the bitter water, sweet water coming from the same spring.
Yeah, okay, so verse 11 talks about bitter and fresh and bitter water coming from the same spring, which you can see how that's cursing and blessing can't come from the same place.
And a fig tree can't produce olives or
Yeah,
a vine.
the grapevine can't bear figs, right? Yeah, and so that's verse number 12. And we talked about that, and that made good sense to us, right? Right? That's like that's just that's the nature of the thing. That's the way it was designed for. Our mouths weren't designed to hurt people. You know, God didn't give us words, the faculty of speech to hurt and to tear down and things like that. So it really goes against the way God made us. That's not God's will for us, right? Good speech is to build up and to heal. Think of in Proverbs talks about our words can be a tree of life. And you know, what do you when I say tree of life, you automatically maybe think something like what? Tree of life. Anything Garden of Eden, okay? Maybe someone say heaven. And the only other thing that I'm aware of in the Bible that is referred to as a tree of life is wholesome words, a wholesome tongue. Yeah, that's something to be we shouldn't overlook that. All right.
Where did you get that at? Where's that at?
A wholesome tongue is a tree of life. The book of Proverbs. I cannot remember where it is. It's in Proverbs. I can look it up for you later, though, no doubt about it. Okay, where are we at? Are we over here again? Number 6. List 4 things which the tongue is called. 4 things that the tongue is called in this. Okay, it's called a fire. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'll say it. Let these guys over here. Okay, we got a fire. A world of iniquity. You helping out their points. A world of iniquity. Oh, it's their turn? Oh, okay. Rick, it's all me, man. Okay, you got a fire, a world of iniquity.
A little member.
A little member.
What you say? Unruly evil.
An unruly evil. Okay. Did anybody happen to pull out a 5th one?
Did the fire get set already?
Yeah.
Well, I forgot a couple other things full of deadly poison.
Okay, yeah, that's what I had. That's like a side one. If we had to do it, deadly poison, full of deadly poison. But yeah, that's right. Oh, all right. Excuse me. All right, now on the right side. 6 questions in. I've already lost what side I'm going. Okay, number 7. lists 5 things which the tongue does or may do. Give me one.
Bless.
Okay, it can bless, right? And specifically bless God, right? Verse number 9. Okay, give me another one. Somebody else give me another one. Curse, and specifically curse men. Of course, we can curse God too with it. That's also verse 9. All right, give me a third one. All right, boast what? Boast great things. That's verse number 5. All right, give me a fourth one.
Defiles the whole body.
Defiles the whole body, verse 6. And then one more. It does what?
I can't even read one around.
Sets on fire the course of nature.
Okay, verse 6. Sets on fire the course of nature. So boast great thing. Well, let's see. Bless God, curse men, boast great things, defiles the whole body, sets on fire the course of nature. There's your 5. And then, what? A restless evil? Yeah, I mean it is, but I guess it works evil. We could say the tongue does or may do if it's doing something. Then it would be, working evil, I guess. But if you're describing what the tongue is, I don't mean to get all specific about it, but that's more of like I don't know the English word for it, but one's an action, one is a thing that it is. Okay. Okay, number 8. What did James say had been tamed by mankind?
Verse 7.
Every species of beasts, reptiles, every creature. That's verse number 7, yeah. Every animal, everything every living thing that's created. We've got it under control, pretty much. All right, number 9 over here. What has not been tamed by mankind? Tongue, verse 8. Okay, the tongue is to be, verse number 10, the tongue is said to be full of what? Deadly poison, verse 8. Okay, let's see.
Well, even verse 8, it mentions it is a restless evil.
Yeah.
And then it goes on into deadly poison.
Full of deadly poison, yeah. Okay. So 11 is super long. Okay, 11:1.
The rest of the book.
So here's what I want you to do. Somebody over here is going to read the whole verse out, and you just fill in the blanks for number 1. So 11 says, since the things we say are so powerful, so far-reaching, we're going to consider the following Bible references seriously. The first one is 1 Peter 3 and verse 10. Okay, who's got it? All right, go ahead.
For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips, that they speak no guile.
No guile. Or deceit. Yeah, deceit. Okay, over here, who wants to say give Matthew 12:37. Someone in the back maybe? Like no one likes to talk back there for some reason. You guys, hey, y'all back there? Y'all wait. Hey. All right. That's a pretty serious one, don't you think? Our words are going to justify us or condemn us. Okay, who's got James over here? James 1:26.
If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain.
Yeah. And vain means what?
Not.
What?
Not. Nothing.
Yeah, not useless. Yeah. Okay. All right, over here now, my left. 2 Timothy 2:17. Who's got it?
And their word will eat as doth a canker, of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus.
Yeah. Now, for word, you might have message, and their word or message will eat as doth a canker or a cancer. You might have as well. Good job with those 2 names, dude. That's impressive. Those are not. You don't hear a lot of Hymenaeus running around. Philetuses. Who wants to name their baby that? Okay.
That's why nobody else read it.
Huh?
So that's why nobody else read it.
Yeah, nobody wanted to say those two words. Nikki, you missed the boat. You could have named a little. Get a little head of Hymenaeus over here. Okay, number 5. Proverbs 16:28.
A froward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separates chief friends.
Yeah, a whisperer separates. And I think the New King James would say the best of friends. Something like that. And isn't that true? A whisperer, what do you think that is? Even yeah, gossiper. Yeah, separates the best of friends. How true. Okay, over here, Proverbs 21:23.
He who guards his mouth and tongue guards his soul from trouble.
Right. Whoever keepeth or guards his mouth, and so keepeth the soul from troubles. Yeah, boy. Okay, who's got Jeremiah 18:18 over this way? Anybody?
And let us smite him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to his words.
Smite him with the tongue, and let us not give heed to any of his words. Just kind of showing, I suppose that verse is in there to show what the tongue is able to do. Okay, all right, over here, Proverbs 11 and verse number 9.
A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered.
Yeah. That's right. Anybody noticing there's a certain book that a lot of these are coming out of? Okay, number 9, 18:6.
A fool's lips entered into contention, and his mouth tolereth good.
Yeah. A fool's lips enter into contention, or fightings, or strivings, and his mouth calls for blows or strikes. What does that even mean?
Fighting words.
Fighting words, yeah. It's like, hit me, hit me, God. It's like, you ever know someone who just, the way they act, the way they talk, I mean, you might say something like, they're just asking for it, kind of thing. I mean, and that's what his mouth calls for blows. That's a fool, by the way. Okay, the Proverbs 18:7, the one right after this proverb in the text. Go ahead, anybody.
The fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul.
Yeah, fool's mouth is his destruction, lips are snare to his soul. Okay, now this next one's interesting. The very next verse in Proverbs 18 is verse number 8. So what's that say? Somebody over here. 18:8.
The word of a table bearer, or
A talebearer.
tail bearer, can you read on that? Or as wounds.
Words of a talebearer are as wounds. Yeah, I don't know what a talebearer is. Sounds like sounds like some kind of a waiter or something.
The E in this. D is in
Okay, did anybody read? Okay, so so the words of a talebearer are as wounds. Now, when you were looking this up, did you have anything different?
Hasty trifles.
Okay, so we got the words of a whisperer, talebearer, so we can see the similarity in there, right? But then we've got for wounds, there's some translations that say tasty trifles.
Dainty morsels.
Or, yeah, the words of a talebearer are as dainty morsels.
A talebearer from the dictionary is a person who maliciously gossips or reveals secrets.
Yeah. So, So so with the King James Version with the word wounds there, so these words of a talebearer are as wounds. Does that make sense?
I think it does in the way that gossip can hurt.
Yeah. Okay, so in the sense that words can hurt,
Yeah.
and a gossip or a whisperer or a backbiter or whatever, that those words can hurt. So they're like wounds, right?
Tasty morsel or whatever that was back through there.
Yeah.
You know, you have those who really want to hear the gossip. You know, they got to
Yeah,
feed on it.
They're like tasty.
So either
Trifles.
way,
Yeah, so it's obviously a very different translation, isn't it? Like that doesn't mean the same thing. And Proverbs is one of the books in the Old Testament that you're going to find that kind of difference in some of the translations. Like some of them are going to say, okay, they make sense. You can see how they're just similar but different words, but this is not totally different. It's totally different, but we can see that they both make sense, though, right? They both make sense. Yes. And neither one of these, because they're different, I don't think it sheds any kind of light on any kind of bad light on how we got the Bible and the translations, how it's been transmitted, or anything like that. That's quite the stretch to go that route. But they both make sense, and actually, neither one of these bears any kind of would take away from the overall theology that the Bible is teaching. Right? It's not going to hurt or harm that, or it doesn't contradict anything else that's in the Bible.
If you read all in context, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Okay. All right, I think I'm over here now. Over here. Ephesians 4, verse 31.
Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice.
Evil speaking, get rid of it. Wrath and anger, all bitterness. All that kind of goes together, right? Bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking. Well, you can see all that coming out in like one show. All right, over here. I like this proverb. All right, 25:11. What does it say?
The word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver.
Yeah. That's a good
Settings of silver.
Settings of silver. Yeah. And pictures of silver, settings of silver. I think like jewelry. It's beautiful, in other words. I think that's the point, right?
And this one says a timely word spoken is apples of gold in a lattice work of silver.
A lattice work of silver. I think that's jewelry, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be jewelry? I would think so. Or maybe something, whatever you think is a lattice work of silver. The point is that it's beautiful. All right. Okay, Titus 2, verse 1.
But as for you, speak things which are fitting for sound doctrine.
All right, but as for you, speak the things which are fitting for sound doctrine. Sound doctrine. So a little different about the words. That's a little different take on the words that come out of our mouth, right? So a lot of times, a lot of these verses are like, hey, make sure they're the right words, they're kind words, they're sweet, healthy words, beautiful words. And then now we get to a verse where it says, where we're going to get to a couple of them, where it's about right and wrong as far as the truth of the Bible goes. So your words, especially if you're being a teacher in the context of James 3:1, they better be sound words of sound doctrine. And that's what Paul was writing to Titus about. Make sure you speak the right things in the right way, of course. Okay, over here, 1 Peter 4 and verse 11. Every Christian should know this verse. We should know this verse.
If any man speak, let him speak as it were to God.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. That's pretty much the idea of letting the Bible do the talking, right? Going to the Bible, seeing what the Bible has to say. Let the Bible do the teaching. Not wrong for us to take people to the Bible and let the Bible do the talking. it might be wrong for us to do all the talking and not open the Bible with other people. I think that's not as effective. All right, Proverbs 31:26 over here. 31:26.
She opens her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness.
She opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness. All right. And who is that? Who's that talking about? That's the virtuous woman chapter, right? Okay, over here, Psalm 19:14. On this side.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in my sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.
Yeah, that's a good prayer right there. All right, and finally, James chapter 1 and verse 19. Over here, my left. James 1:19. Well-known verse.
Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
That's right.
That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Right, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Okay. Number 12 on this side. That what should a wise man endued with knowledge do? What should he do? According to James.
So good conduct is works within meekness and wisdom.
Yeah, that's verse 13. Yeah, basically showing his behavior, right? That's what it says. And his good conduct with meekness and what does it say? Then in the meekness of wisdom. Show it with his behavior. Okay. Okay, number 13 over here. Of all 4 people that have been talking out of 20. Number 13. Christians should not have what? Bitter what?
Envy and strife.
Bitter envy and strife in their hearts. Yeah. Especially envy toward one another, right? Within the church. We don't need to have envy. We don't need to be envious of anybody. But especially envy, and this is really getting into 16, 17, and 18, all leads into the kind of rebuking that happens in the very next chapter at the beginning. And so really when he's saying, for where envy and self-seeking exists, confusion and every evil thing are there in verse 16, I'm convinced he's saying that it's among you right now. It's among you, my readers of this letter. It's among y'all. But man, you can't have envy and strife with each other in the church. That's ridiculous. That's not going to do anything good for anybody. Okay. Verse number 14. List the characteristics of the 2 kinds of wisdom in this chapter. All right, first, tell me the 2 kinds of wisdom. You can tell in your own words, or you tell me how James does it, says it. What's the 2 kinds of wisdom he talks about? What's that? Okay, wisdom from above is 1, and then earthly wisdom, the wisdom from below, right? Okay, so give me the characteristics then of earthly wisdom over here. Give me some characteristics of earthly wisdom from James. We could probably make our own list.
Which side?
Huh?
Which side?
Here, over here, earthly wisdom. Come on.
Sensual, demonic,
Okay, sensual,
self-seeking,
demonic, self-seeking.
confusing,
Yeah, confusing. Yeah, unspiritual. Okay, I think we get it. Okay, now over here, yes, you guys, tell me about What, give me some characteristics of the wisdom from above, or the heavenly wisdom. Full of mercy,
Peaceable.
peaceable, compassionate, gentle,
Bears good fruits.
bears good fruits.
Slow to anger.
Yeah, true. When we can put slow to anger in there. Willing to yield, right?
Without partiality.
Without partiality. What about that willing to yield one? What's that? What would we say in that kind of note?
Not be looking for confrontation. You'll solve it about it. You don't have to fight over everything. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Knowing when to walk away from it, yeah.
Okay, know when to walk away.
You don't have to
That's
drive the point home and say,
Compromise as long as it doesn't go against the word of God.
say that again.
Compromise as long as it doesn't go against the word of God.
Okay, willing to compromise. Yeah, as long as it doesn't compromise the faith. Obviously, that should go without saying, right? But yeah. I think there is a lot of wisdom when you're not trying to win every battle with somebody. Don't you think? I think, sometimes we got a little bit of pride in us, and it hurts to know that maybe someone kind of got the last word in, or they kind of one-upped us in something, and it kind of, and we don't like that, and so we tend to kind of prolong something, or an argument, or a discussion, or we do something to make sure we get back, so we got the last laugh, or the last word, or whatever it is. But that's not good, is it? Man, that's not good at all. We don't do that, do we? We shouldn't do that, do we? Should we? In church.
That's petty.
What's that?
That's just petty.
It's petty, yeah. It's childish, really, is what it is. And that's part of that earthly wisdom that we don't want to have anything to do with. All right. Okay, last of the fill in the blank. Sort of fill in the blank. Number 15. Over here. What do envying and strife always bring? Evil works, evil things, confusion. More sin, basically. Sin breeds more sin, right? Does that make sense? I think it does. Yeah. Okay, everybody's favorite. True or false? All right, over here, number 1, true or false? Much of this chapter is given to a discussion of fig trees and olive berries. False. I've never heard of olive berries. Is that what they're called? Are they a berry? Are they a berry? Get out of here. I didn't know that. Okay, so that's false, true or false? That's false. I mean, it talks about it, but not much of the chapter. Okay. True. Okay, over here. True or false? Number 2. True or false? The tongue is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. That's true. Verse number what? Verse number 8. There we go. Where envy and true or false? Where envy and strife are found, there are other sins also. That's true. Okay. 4. True or false? Because teachers have such a great responsibility, they should be very careful to teach only the truth. That's true. Verse number 1, right? Verse number 1. Of course, all that's implied in verse number 1. I think that's why we had a big discussion about it. Okay. All right, over here, number 5, true or false? When James said, wrote, these things ought not to be, he was speaking of the lack of respect for the apostles and teachers. True or false?
False, verse 10.
False, verse 10. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing, my brethren, these things ought not to be so. Anybody get true? Anybody got true for that at all? No truths? No?
I guess you could loop it in there with it in a roundabout way.
Yeah, a roundabout
It'd take a
way.
long way to get there.
Yeah. Could have been about speaking, at least lack of respect for the teachers that he mentions, possibly. Somebody was running their mouth in the congregation James was writing to, because he wouldn't have said all this stuff about the tongue. All right, well, I put false there, but I did circle it just in case. Okay, number 6, true or false? Okay, true. Men are made after the similitude of God, or the likeness of God. That's true. All right, that's verse 9. All right, number 7. The wisdom from above is without partiality and without hypocrisy. That's true as well. Verse what? All right. The greater, number 8, true or false, the greater part of this chapter deals with the tongue.
True.
Okay, that's true. Number 9.
Well, which was it?
What?
Which was it?
8, number 8 is true. Number 9, true or false, the tongue is an example of a little member that can do great things. True, verse 5. And then finally, number 10, the tongue is harder to control or tame than every kind of beast, birds, serpents, and sea animals. Yeah, that's true. 7 and 8, right? Okay. We got a tie score, everybody. Unbelievable. I would have never foreseen it, but it was a tie score. Good job. So without starting into a discussion of 4, we only got a couple minutes left. We'll stop. And we will pick up with verse number 1 of chapter 4. And as you read ahead, just know that 13 of chapter 3, probably to about verse 3 of chapter 4, that kind of all kind of goes together. The end of 3 kind of sets up the things that he's about to say in 1, 2, and 3. And you can, especially verse number 18 of chapter 3, you can see it. There's not peace there in the congregation that he's writing to. All right, good job, everybody. I hope the books are beneficial to you, and that this reviewing is kind of getting it into your mind a little bit more, and kind of impressing it in there so you don't forget it. All right, thanks for being here and all y'all's participation. Makes the class good. All right, see you next time. You got announcements? They went to the doctor yesterday. She's got the respiratory things.
I posted that. Good evening. It's time to start our announcements. Everybody, remember Fran, she's homesick. She has a upper respiratory problem. She just told to stay in and rest. There are flyers on the back of the table, on the back table for the ladies' day. Take them, hand them out, invite your friends and neighbors. It's going to be here in no time. There's still several on the sick list. Pick up a bulletin, keep it near you. Last night to sign up for the progressive dinner. The sign-up sheet's on the back. Table back there on the right as you go out. If your name's not on it, you need to put it on if you plan on coming. Because we gotta know how many to cook for. So we'll go from there. If you have any questions, you can ask Tammy. Remember the elders open door, it's on the 29th of September. And then October 5th, it's gonna be around the corner here, is the Ladies' Day here at the building. Tonight was, Tom's leading singing. Chuck has got the devotional, and Don's gonna have closing prayer. If you have any announcements, please let us know. We'll give them in the bulletin and get them announced. Thank you.
Mark number 634. That'll be your song that we will sing for encouragement on the devotional invitation. 634. And after you've done that, turn to number 249. 249. It's awesome. How precious is the book divine, by inspiration given, bright as a Cupid's precept shine, to guide my soul to heaven. Holy book divine, precious treasure. Lamp to my feet and a light to my way, to guide me safely home. It sweetly cheers my drooping heart in this dark vale of tears. Life to my life it still imparts, and quells my rising fears. Holy book divine, precious treasure thine, lamp to my feet and a light to my way, to guide me safely home. This lamp through all the tedious night of life shall guide my way, till I behold the clearer light of an eternal day. Holy book divine, precious treasure thine, lamp to my feet and a light to my way, to guide me safely home.
Just last month, there was a family who was visiting a museum in Israel, and they had their little four-year-old boy with them, and little boy wanted to see what was inside one of these big jars that was on display. One pretty big jar, maybe the height of this table right here in front of me, and sitting on the ground. And so he grabs it and he leans this jar over in this Israeli museum to kind of look inside. And as he did that, it slipped from his hands and it fell to the floor and it smashed to pieces. And I was reading that story and I was thinking back to when Megan and I told our boys 1,000 times over before we go into a particular place, do not touch anything. Now, if that was any other jar, probably no big deal, right? Just replace the jar, But this jar was believed to be a Canaanite artifact that was dated to be about 3,500 years old, 3,500 years old, older than King David himself. So, now I'm sure every child has broken things. We've all broken things. And most of those can be replaced. But what that little boy broke, can't replace that. That was truly priceless. And so the embarrassment for the parents, must have been off the charts. Can you imagine parents, you being in that position and what you would have done? I don't know what I would have done. But in a wonderful show of forgiveness, this is how the article ends. The museum just chalked it up to it being an accident and actually invited the family to come back for an organized tour. How about that? So with that in mind, what price would you put on the heart of God? What price would you put on the heart of God? You know, in Genesis 6 and verse 5, we learn that mankind, the sin of mankind, the sin of the world, had grieved God's heart. It says he was grieved in his heart. That word grieve, it literally means to carve. And so what you read there in 6:5 of Genesis is that man's sins was carving at the heart of God. Now we might say that God's heart was breaking. That's what that was. God's heart was breaking. Later in Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 2, we learn that it is our sins that separate us from God. And many of us know all too well that it's separation that can cause even the strongest of hearts to break. And so I want you to imagine how cruel it is, and maybe you've seen this, I don't know, when a person continually and even purposefully, defiantly acts in such a way that causes so much heartache to the one who loves them the most and who's never done a single thing wrong to them. That's cruel, isn't it? That is our sin, folks. That's our sin. That's what our sin does. When we should be kneeling at the cross of Christ, a lot of times, at least we act like it. We act like we are dancing at the cross. And what a shame. What a shame. So your sin and your unfaithfulness that you and God know about, they're breaking his heart. God's heart's breaking. And yet, in a wonderful show of forgiveness, God is still allowing you time and inviting you to come back to him. The invitation is open. If you need to respond to it, let's grab our songbooks and stand and sing.
The great physician now is near, the sympathizer.